Hi, my name is Neil from Telemark Pyrenees, and today I'm going to talk about the new Scarpa TX Pros, which will be coming to market next winter. We've been very lucky to have two pairs of these to test over the last 4 months, a pair of the blue size 25s and the red size 27s. We've tested these both inbounds, touring, in hard snow, powder skiing, all sorts of conditions. We've had a look, we've used these on we've had big touring, big freeride skis, slalom skis, touring skis, and we've been using them with the in-wild Medjo, the 22 Designs Lynx, and also the 22 Designs Outlaw X. So these three bindings being the most popular. It's been very interesting testing these boots because we were waiting for them for so long. The TX Pros first came out in 2007 with the start of the NTN development, and in the intervening 17 years they haven't really changed whatsoever. So we find ourselves skiing with Telemark boots, which are pretty old technology compared to what's available for people alpine touring skiing, where they have boots which are lighter, stiffer, and above all with much more cuff rotation. Scarpa have been working on these boots for several years now, and 3 years ago we had a prototype which was interesting to ski. It was good to know that Scarpa were working on something, because there was a big demand for this, but it took them several years to come to a final product because they had to wait until the binding technology had caught up. Now they've produced a binding that could be used with the traditional or normal NTN bindings, such as the Rotterfeller Freeride, 2-pin NTN bindings such as the Lynx or the in-wild Medjo, and also the TTS bindings like the Voiler TTS, which use the pins plus a traditional cable. These boots have a fairly soft bellows, a moderately stiff tongue, and then a very stiff cuff. Okay. In ski mode, as you go into the turn, the bellows flex pretty quickly. There's no resistance to bellows flexing, and you find yourself pressuring on the boot with what's really a very stiff tongue and cuff. Because the boot's closer to your foot than the previous model, you have a really fine control both in forward direction and a torsional rigidity, which gives a very good control for the ski. Some telemarkers, and there's quite a few of us actually, we actually ski in walk mode with the ski walk mechanism up in walk mode. These boots have much more cuff rotation, so there was a concern that they'd actually have too much cuff rotation to make skiing in walk mode practical. But in fact, it works really well. And again, you can have a really good fluid technique in walk mode, which is really unsurpassed, much better than the previous boots. Whether you ski in ski mode or walk mode, these boots offer unsurprised performance. And now we'll go and have a look at why that is. So let's have a look at what makes these boots so good. First of all, they're lighter. The size 27s have gained 205 grams per boot compared to the previous model, and they weigh in at just under 3.1 kilos. So they're a good weight for efficient ski touring. Total cuff height is exactly the same as before. The cuff itself is slightly lower, but they've now added a spoiler which can be adjusted a few millimeters to give more or less forward canting and support. In terms of the shell width, the last for your foot inside, the internal last is still 102 millimeters, but the shell itself is closer to your foot with a thinner liner, which gives a much snugger feeling to and much better control. In terms of the boot toe, they've done quite a lot of work on this, and this shows how they were wondering which bindings it would be compatible for. The old TX Pros had a rounded toe like this, which fitted the NTN standard bindings, such as the Rotterfeller Freeride to start with, but they'd also added inserts as an afterthought, which were then taken up by in-wild with the Medjo and 22 Designs with the Lynx. Okay. On the new boots, we don't have this rounded form like this, but we have like a double lobe system. We have a narrow front to the boot toe with the inserts, okay, and then we have this lobes on the outside, which were apparently added later so that it was compatible with the NTN bindings such as Rotterfeller Freeride and the Outlaw X. One previous criticism of the old boots was that they weren't compatible with step-in crampons because the toe, the front of the boot was too wide to accept the crampon bail. And we were hoping that this would be fixed for these boots, but in fact it hasn't been. The front part can accept the crampon bails, but the bits on the side for the end-to-end bindings, they stop the crampon attaching efficiently. Okay. On the previous boots, what a few people did, they actually cut off. They cut off the sides of the toe piece beyond the pins, so you could then attach step-in crampons if you wanted to, like this. Okay, let's have a look at the bellows. Scarpa have done a lot of work on these bellows, and you can see, if you look here, they're slightly less asymmetric than they used to be. They curve around to the outside of the boot a little less than the previous model. They're also thinner. These here, for example, these are 38 millimeters wide, and these are only 33. They're still the same basic construction with one zone that flexes, if you like. But what's interesting is that on these boots, you can see they descend right down onto the sole of the boot. Well, if you look at this older version here, they actually stop about 4 millimeters above the sole. Okay, we found these boots, they probably had a similar flex to the old ones, maybe slightly stiffer. They're certainly softer than the flex of the crispy boots, but we found that they worked very, very well with the tongue and the stiff cuff. The tongue has a similar design to the previous model, with the first buckle on the top and a scuff guard on the inside. We would have liked this to be even more protruding to offer 100% protection. We didn't see a lot of damage to the bellows, but there was a bit of scuffing just in front of those. Then the centre of the tongue has this double groove that comes across, which allows the second buckle, which we'll come to in a minute, to position itself correctly. Okay. We were also involved in testing different tongue stiffnesses. This tongue is very, very slightly softer, and it's good to see that Scarpa are trying as hard as possible to make sure that this boot has optimum performance. As far as the buckles go, the new boots only have 3 buckles instead of 4. The first buckle is similar to the previous model, while the second has been upgraded and has a ratchet mechanism which is much, much easier to use. This second buckle is Scarpa's famous buckle that locks down your heel so that the foot really does not move inside the shell, which is critical for efficient telemarking. And I must say that these work very, very well. The third buckle, and the only one on the cuff, is slightly lower than the top one here. You can see it's just a little bit lower. It comes in between the two. But despite this, it gives more control, probably thanks to the very stiff cuff. So you have more power transfer with 3 buckles than you have here with 4. Another improvement is the elasticated power strap here, which again gives better closure and a better hold on your lower leg than this one. It has an elasticated front, and it has this very handy the so-called G-lock. You see, where you can close to open. It's very easy to open like that. Take it off, put it back on, cinch it tight, which is much easier for getting in and out. I mean, it's a small thing, but it makes it better. I forgot to mention that the second buckle, and this is very important, on the old boots, here, let me show you. On the old boots, the second buckle is connected via the screw that holds the cuff onto the shell, and there's no design to give the cuff more rotation there. Okay. Well, here, what Scarpa have been pretty clever in that they've separated the buckle from the axis here. They're giving it a second screw point here. This has 2 effects. One is, should you ever need to change it, which does sometimes be necessary, occasionally, it's very easy. You just take a torque screw here and you don't have to mess around with the cuff itself. The other thing is that you can see the moulding here, it's more open so that the cuff can rotate independently of that cable, okay? Which brings us to cuff rotation. In walk mode, these boots have 62 degrees of movement, which is 40 degrees more than the 22 degrees that these boots had. When you're skinning uphill with these or walking with them, you really feel no resistance whatsoever from the cuff. It's very efficient, making for much better skinning, much better walking if you have to hike a little bit. And it's that which makes them a totally different boot for touring. The new boots come with your Intuition ProFlex TK liners. The TK refers to Telemark, of course, and it refers to this flex zone they've put over the toes so that now the liners can flex nicely within the boots. There's also a small flex zone at the back here so you can get efficient forward and backwards movement of the liner in walk mode. We found them comfortable, warm, whether you've skied them molded or not. I tend not to mold liners, and so for the first 2 months I skied them without molding them, and then I got a little bit of heel lift, so I molded them, and that cured the problem completely. Since I've had no heel lift problems whatsoever. If you'd like to know more about these boots, please visit our site telemark-pyrenees.com and look out for the blog Scarpa TX Pro 2025 test report. Scarpa have taken the time to develop by far the most advanced Telemark boot on the market. However you ski, in resort, in touring, in ski mode or walk mode, these boots offer the very best performance possible. We'd like to thank Scarpa for developing these boots, which we are sure will bring a lot more telemarkers into the backcountry as well, because we now have an efficient tool for efficient backcountry skiing. Many thanks to Scarpa for the loan of these boots, and also to Plein Nord Scarpa France